Oh, it's you can hear my microphone. That's great.
I
No,
think we're here.
I had to unmute myself again. Okay, so there's welcome back to Corporate Strategy Live, the podcast and live show that should have been an email that evolves every week. We change just a little bit of how we do things. So this is a remote live show. I'm
This
Anthony.
is this is even weirder than before. I'm Michael.
Hi. Hi there. I am so thrown. We keep changing things and it's just messing with my comfort level.
This is the year
Also,
of change, and we're just going to figure it out together. It says we're live. I think that's a good thing. So we must be doing something right.
Michael, I don't know. Do you have like the studio stream view pulled up, perchance?
I can. Oh, I can pull it up. All right.
Take a look at the shorts view. Take a look at that
Oh, geez.
beautiful vertical video
Oh, that
of
looks just wonderful.
if I stand right here, then it's good, I guess. That's something I'll have to
If I
investigate.
like, how much do I have to move to the other
Hey,
side? That's what I'm
here's
worried about.
here's something we can only do in this format. Let's merge our faces into one.
This is so weird. Well, apologies to anyone who is on the live stream. You are, and if you're on the live stream on your phone, like this is going to be a really bad viewing experience. But we're going to fix that at
We'll
some
fix it.
point.
We'll get it figured. Everything is a learning experience these days, and I'm just happy I'm here. I'm just happy to be here. How are you?
Me too. Hey, I'm just happy to be here too. It's always a great time when we get together and talk about something that we're interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love that with this new format of live, there's an extra expectation that people are hanging out, listening, chilling with us. So, like I said in the last one, we had some really good interaction with our audience. Now I know, 3:40 on a Wednesday Eastern Standard Time, maybe not the most optimal time for you to be, participating with a live stream about work. But if you can, if you've got thoughts and ideas, let us know. We'll read your stuff out loud in the chat. And if you're catching us from the past, the future, you're listening to past us with your future phones. Do be sure to hit up the link tree in your show notes and either join our Discord, which might be changing soon, or support the show on our Patreon, which also has a chat functionality that we don't know how to use.
Ooh.
But lots of ways to engage with us, and love the engagement we got on the last stream.
Yeah, I feel like we're in the learning process right now of what works, what doesn't work. And this is our first live stream remotely because we've only live streamed in person in your great podcast setup. So this is going to be a little bit of trial and error, but we
Yeah.
appreciate everyone who's going to bear with us.
Also, the volume. Like, I just need to know if you have feedback on the overarching volume of Michael and I. That would be great too, because I can't hear it. I can only see it. So, we'll figure it
I
out.
feel
That's the
like I
growing
feel like
pains.
one of us is going to have their ears just blowing out people's ears. So if you do that, throw it in the chat, let us know, and we'll turn it down. I think we have control over that, so we'll figure
Yours,
it out.
yours keeps going into the red, which is like I'm taking it down just a notch each
So you're
time.
taking me from a 8 to a 6. Is that what you're saying?
I've taken you from because we're in the negative decibels now. I mean, we've always been in the negative decibels, but I took you from like a 15 to an 8,
Oh, you dropped me almost 50%.
which is wild
100%
because I'm at a -3.
math.
You're at a. I'm actually gonna take you even further. I'm taking you even further. You're at a -9
Just
now.
keep bringing me down. Just keep bringing me down. But anyways,
Speaking of bringing you down, vibe check, Michael. How you doing?
yeah. This week it went by quick. I feel like there's just always so much going on. Time is just flying by. I said this last year on this podcast, but it always feels like January just doesn't exist. Like every single time we get into a new year, I'm like, did January happen? Because it's almost the end of February right now, and I feel like January never happened. I only
January.
lived February.
January felt forever long for me, but
Yeah.
February is, I cannot believe it's the 20th. It's the 25th. I've got so
Yeah, not
many.
even the 20th. You
I,
literally have 3 days left of the month.
I've got so many like April, March deadlines that are going to kill me. So I'm nervous. I'm terrified that February is gone. You know
Oh,
what,
well,
Michael? Resident
that's
Evil
terrible.
9
But
is out
oh,
tomorrow,
okay.
Friday.
I would say I'm thrilled, but just to be totally transparent, I've never played a Resident Evil game in my life.
Good. I know what we're gonna stream when we do our game streams together.
I've like seen it. I know vaguely what it is. Because obviously everyone has heard, like if you hear Resident Evil, there's probably not a soul that doesn't know, like hasn't heard that before, but I know nothing further than that.
Bigger than the Beatles is what I've heard in regards to Resident
Oh,
Evil. I think
a
when
bold
you hear Resident
statement.
Evil, you think like Shea Stadium couldn't come close to seeing Leon Kennedy roundhouse kick some zombies. Like I think that's where we're at.
Okay, that is a bold statement. I don't know if anyone will agree with you on that, but I'll take you at your word. Why wouldn't I take you at your word?
You
I
should
trust you
always
implicitly.
take me
Implicitly. All right,
implicitly. Trust me.
give me your vibe check. What do you got? What do you
Uh,
got going on? It's been a week. How was your week?
chaos, a spiraling chaos, whirlwind of chaos. The
Good.
I need a 5 day weekend. I think that'll set me right. I think a 5 day weekend will set me right.
I hear that. You just
Yeah,
need those extra 2 days. Maybe because then you can enjoy 2 days
3
without
days,
Sunday
Clark,
scaries.
Michael.
Oh, 3 days, true.
Yeah,
True. 3 days. So you need an extra 3 days to like give buffer to be like, oh no, it actually is Friday and I have that off. And then Monday and Tuesday, so that way you can enjoy Saturday and Sunday without Sunday scaries.
bingo. That's exactly what I need. It's
Dang.
exactly what I
Okay.
need. Yeah.
Makes sense.
But I think once I get through, I'm just in a little bit of a project hump right now. My one of if you were going to interview me and say, Anthony, what's your greatest weakness? One, I have an aversion to authority. But number two would be I get frazzled as
Yeah.
heck when I've got like too many projects that I'm trying to manage at one time. Like I'm a great focused tasker. I'm a terrible multitasker. So the more
Yeah.
multi you have me tasking, I drain really quick. So I just need to get through some projects. I need to get to some stability, some more like individually focused tasks with budgeted timelines. And I think I'll be right as rain. I think I'll be as peachy as a pancake.
Both those statements were great, by the way. I, as I've transitioned out of my role at Universal, I feel like I mastered my workflow, like how
Well,
to
of
do
course.
things, how to structure my work, how to have it in a good system, how to manage the projects. Like I felt like I was always in pretty good shape on where things were and making sure my team was on top of them. As I've transitioned out of that, I'm still trying to find out like my routine of balancing future things that I'm working on. And then there's like all these just projects around the house and personal things that I've going on. And it's so strange because it's like simple things that you squeeze in during a regular workday. We're like, oh, I got to call the dentist and like tell them my new insurance. And like during a workday, you just kind of figure that out because like I have to do it. I have to get it
Right.
done by tomorrow. But like when you don't have like all these deadlines and you're in meetings all day, you don't have 5 minutes just to hop out and make a call, it's up to you to define when to do the thing. And it's like hard to figure out when is the right time. Like, and I think I'm just trying to figure out that balance now, not being in a typical 9 to 5 where I'm just always on meetings and trying to squeeze those things in the middle. So now my to-do list, like every day, I roll over a huge plot of things because I don't know how much I can actually accomplish in a day and how much I can't. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic.
So how do you prioritize? What's your prioritization practice like right now?
It's a good question. I'll be honest, it's hard because there's things that it's like the urgent and important scale, where like certain things are important but not that urgent. And then there's certain things that like get a little higher on that urgent list where it's like if I don't do this tomorrow, my car insurance is going to renew and I didn't shop around for rates. So I better figure that out. So I feel like I'm on that sliding scale right now of like trying to pin where those things are in the urgent and important grid and trying to pick the right things to work on. But it's hard because I truly do believe in I think it's like Parkinson's law that the task and the time will fill to give it the time allowed. And
Yeah,
when you don't have deadlines for things, it's
you'll never
hard
get
to
things
like
done.
get yourself to do them. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's really
correct.
weird.
Correct. I completely agree with that. I would say so much of my as someone who actually enjoys project management, budgeting and deadlining and figuring out the timetables for all these things. For me, if I had my way, I would like slice up everything into chunks that I know I can accomplish in certain spans of time and just get them done in those chunks and spans. And then I could slot it, I'd leave little buffers so if I got to go get my teeth cleaned or whatever, I can step away and do so. My problem is always the X factor, which is everyone else. And everyone else does not agree with my time budgeting. And because of that and their own wacky priorities, I don't have the luxury of doing what I like to do, when I like to do it, how I like to do it within the span. Instead, it just becomes a waterfall of tasks upon me that I then have to like frantically, all the things.
Yeah, and we talked about this before on a previous episode, but it's like there's so many tips to try to do something to help remediate your situation. Like, can you do the urgent, important thing? Or can you do the trade off thing of being like, hey, if I have to do that first, is that more important than this?
Mm-hmm.
Is that more important than this? But like in your situation, we talked about it on that episode. It's kind of a lose lose. It's
You
like,
don't get that
the answer
opportunity.
is, yeah, the answer is everything. Just do it
Yes.
all. You'll figure
Yeah.
it out.
Eat the entire burrito. That
Yep.
is the challenge. Yes, that's how I'm doing. I'm not bad by any means. I'm
Not
just,
terrible.
I'm frazzled.
Sometimes it happens. It's
Yeah.
a season. You're in Q1 right now. Projects are getting greenlit. Big goals for the year. It's heightened pressure. Then after Q1 fades, you get a little bit more realism on what can actually be done that year, and
Yeah.
hopefully then you can take it down a notch.
I
Bring it
think you're
down to an
right.
8,
Yeah.
instead of a 10.
Oh, you're right. I should take you down to like a -17. Hold on. Yeah. You're
Just
still
zone
peeking
me.
the red. I don't I
Yeah,
you're -10 now. You're -10. I keep taking you
zone me
down.
all the way out. I hope this goes live. And truthfully, I have
I mean,
no
we are
volume at
live.
all.
Everyone's
I
watching.
hope no one can hear me. I hope no one can hear me right now. It's just you talking to my moving mouth.
According to my little audio mixer, they can't hear you.
Okay, good,
You're
good.
coming through loud and
Well, that's
clear.
all. Perfect. Get me down to -12. I can handle it.
So what are we talking about today, Michael?
Oh yeah, we should probably pick a topic, huh?
You
Yeah,
should.
it was funny. I was thinking about going off documentation in our last episode and just thinking about some best practices in the workplace. And funny, I was talking to my wife and she gave me a couple ideas. She's like, you guys have always talked about CAC and it's a weird acronym. What does that mean? So we're going to get into that in a later episode because I still think it's one of the best and coolest things that we've done here. But another thing that she mentioned, I just slammed this and I'm probably hitting the red mark. I got to stop hitting things on tables on streams. But another thing she mentioned was, well, what about doing like a book club? Like you guys have always talked about a lot of books that you read. What if you kind of can suggest to the people, if you want more than just this podcast, you want to know things that we read that influenced our thinking, that maybe influence a lot of what we talk about on here and the tips that we give to either people on this podcast or people at work, could you share some of those so that way people can go off and read them? And so I thought it was a really good idea. I grabbed a couple off my bookshelf right before we started, and I sprung this on Anthony about 30 seconds before we hit start.
Well, it was a really weird conversation because I had to be like, Clark, Michael, whoever the heck you are, I don't know how to read. So this is going to be super embarrassing for me to hear you talk about your literacy and me be like, well, I have used a book to swat a fly before, but we'll figure out a way to make it work. And I'm excited to hear about the books you like because you've made
I
me
love
read
it.
some books and I've hated them. So I want
I
to see you
have. You
defend them
actually,
live.
that actually is hilarious that you have read a few and you're like, that was awful. Like, why did I read that? Oh, but hey, that's what a book is, right? Like, I
That is
don't
what a book
believe,
is.
I think it's subjective. It's going to help some people. It's not going to help some people. I firmly believe that when you read, and I've had to figure this out over time. It's not about like reading every single word and going through that and like feeling like you have to complete the whole thing. I believe that you should read things that can be helpful to you and you can put into practice because that's when it really sticks to memory. When you read something that's just so out of context of like what you're actually dealing with and you feel like you've got to read the whole thing, it's just going to go. What's the opposite of out in one ear and out the other when it goes through
Out
your
one in and
eyeballs
in
to
the
your
other.
brain? Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. So I feel like you should focus on that. find things to read that are relevant to your current situation, especially if you're strapped on time, that you can put into practice. Otherwise, you're just going to be reading to read and you're going to forget all of it. It's not going to be relevant and it's going to be kind of a waste of your time. So don't feel like you need to, for any of these, pick it up and read the whole thing unless it's like super relevant and you can actually put it into practice. So that's my general, asterisk at the top. So a few of these things, like I've read them. Actually, most of the books I've pretty much read all of the ones I'm going to share. But a lot of them I only read certain pieces at certain times, and I'd come back like 6 months later and be like, "Oh, I'm actually ready to read the next chapter." So that's my method. I don't know if you're similar in that, Anthony, but that's the way I like to read.
Did you choose this topic because you wanted to bring on more props?
I do like props. I feel like with a live show with video, you gotta have props.
We've done 3 video live shows now, and this is the second time you've had props, and I'm just starting to notice a trend here. So just an observation, a passing observation. Let's do it. Let's talk about some books.
Let's do it. Do you want to? I mean, I feel like I should start because you told me before this podcast that you maybe have one.
I have more than one. I have more than one.
Okay.
But why don't you kick us off?
Okay. Okay. So maybe we start with like before we get into specific like work related things, maybe we talk about like self help slash maybe larger picture perspective books. One that I really like, I actually don't have a prop for this one, so you're welcome. I lended this book out and I don't know who has it at this time. One book that I really like when it comes to like life is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I think so many people have heard of this book. It's so like it's the most vanilla book ever because I think everyone's like, "Oh, I've read that book." But I truthfully love the way that he talks about like framing your life around work, around fulfillment, around how you can kind of structure things to have a successful life and what that means to you. I read that book probably once every couple of years because I really like the way that it kind of lays it out, and it's given me some really good tips to balance. Like, how do you balance, priorities in life versus priorities in work, and how do you kind of blend them together into a life that you can be happy with? And so I think that book is like, in general, a really good way to frame your mindset for life and work, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
So, one of our frequent guests on the show, Alex Restrepo, Capitalist correspondent,
Yeah.
he is a big recommender. That's got to be a better word than that for 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I reread that book because of him. We did it for a work group book club before, and
Really?
it's interesting. So the whole idea, like sharpening your saw, Stephen Covey puts out
Right.
there, like I think there is something about that sort of refactoring, rethinking about what you're doing approach to the habits that are highly effective of working with people. I don't remember any specific habit specifically, but I do remember that
Yeah.
like I did have some qualms with some of them, as is my responsibility is to be the person with qualms about things. But I think that's a book that everyone needs to read, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, because it is so fundamental. It will help you understand. Every business exec reads that book. Like every single one on the face of the planet has read that book. So if you want to understand their mindset, it's a book worth reading just to kind of get leveled with the mindset of a lot of sort of older executive folks. Because it is a little bit of an older book. I would say it's not anywhere near as recent as the books I'll be talking about.
Right. Yeah, 100%. It was originally published in 1989, so it is an older book for sure. There's been a couple like revisions of it, I believe, but I won't go into all the details because we got to move on to the next thing. But there's 7 main habits that seem really basic. Like you'll hear them and you'll be like, "Oh, duh." But like when you actually read them, it really puts in perspective of like different ways of thinking about these things and different ways of using these things. So it's be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, sharpen the saw.
Yeah.
And so like it's all so basic, but it's just about working with people and not just people you work with, but people in your life. And I really like I think the one that always hit the hardest for me is thinking about like win-win. And there's a lot of times like when you're going to argument or you're going for something, you always kind of think about like your side and your needs and not, well, how can I help them? Like, what are they trying to achieve? And trying to find ways that you can negotiate with people to find win-wins, like, has been a tactic that I've used throughout my whole career that has been really beneficial. Like, even if I know, okay, my boss doesn't want to concede this, or I'm about to go into battle, okay, let me put myself into her shoes and think about, like, hey, this person needs this, so maybe I can find a way to weave that in, so that way we can make a compromise. And, like, thinking that way just forces you out of your own box and forces you to put yourself in someone else's perspective, which I love.
Yes, I agree, and I think the starting with the end in mind, that's the one that really resonated with me the most because if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a plan to achieve that goal, like we talked about with the time budgeting, right? Like you're never going to get it. So I do recall when you went through the list, I was like, oh yeah, that was the one. That was the one I really liked.
I love it. Well, you got any, like, life books? That would be, like, my main one before
Yeah,
it gets to, like, work stuff.
I'm glad you brought that one up first because it changed the order of the two that I will talk about. So, one that I also read as part of the Alex Restrepo workbook club that we used to have is called The Unsubtle Art of Not Giving an F. And I've
Yep.
talked about this multiple times in the pod before, and I can give you a quick little TLDR on the whole book. But the big the big example that kind of gets referred to and brought back to a lot in this book, and this book is it's a self help book, but I think it's also just a career life path. And the thought is, do you want to be a rock star, right? Like
Mm,
everyone wants to be a rock star. Wouldn't it be so cool to play guitar on the stage for thousands of people and have all that money? Yeah, that's a cool idea. But the sort of underlying theme of this book is when you evaluate things like that, when you have that unsubtle art of not giving an F, you say like, okay, well, am I willing to commit to a recording schedule? Am I willing to commit to becoming a master of an instrument or a musical, format? Am I willing to spend the time touring with my bandmates, hiring, firing, and managing my bandmates, doing all of the nitty gritty? You start to realize like the image in your mind of what a rock star is 1% God on the stage and 99% like muddied in the mire dealing with difficulty and strife. And you take that principle and you apply it to everything, right? Like, do you want to be a
right.
manager? Do you want to be, a rocket scientist? Like the unsubtle art of not giving an F is actually basically realizing like, what do you care about? What do
Right.
you give an F about? And how do you apply that in work, in life, and everything? And that little segment that I just kind of talked through, that's the part of the book that stuck with me the most. There's a lot of really good tidbits in there, and I do recommend it to everybody. Um, I should have the author, Mark Manson. Mark Manson is
Yeah.
the author.
Mark
And I think
Manson.
there's even a sequel. It was like even more. Uh, hold
Yeah.
on.
What's the
Oh
follow
no, the
up? This
follow up was
actually,
Everything is effed. I haven't read that
yes.
one, but I did really love. Sorry, it's not the unsubtle; it's the subtle art of
Subtle.
not giving an
Mhm.
F. Great
Yeah.
book though.
100% agree. Yeah. My wife is a huge advocate of this one. She talks about it all the time, tries to get everybody to read it because I think it's a really good book. It kind of coaches basically what you were saying around, like, happiness in general. It can't just be happiness all the time. Like, there's going to be problems. You're going to run into issues, and you have to choose what problems are you going to care about. And it's okay to have problems. Okay to not be happy all the time. Like, that is just life. Like, to your point, it's like you can't just be a rock star 24/7. It's not them 24/7. It's not that person on YouTube or that person that feels like they got it all together. It's like they have challenges and struggles of their own. Everyone does. Like, that's life. And I feel like that in this day and age where everything's so instantaneous, like gratification is instant gratification, like, you have to remember no one is just living this dream life where they're always happy all the time. And you have to choose for yourself. It's okay not to be like that. And it's also, okay to realize that you don't want to put in the work to get the 1 second of fame for
I
rock star. So 100% agree.
absolutely, and I like.
It's a
I think
great
it's so
one.
funny. Like the takeaway is, you should give an F. It's just you should
Yeah,
know what you should give an F about. Like
exactly. Yeah.
I love that, and that book has stuck with me for a long time. It like I still carry a lot of the sort of mantra and like realizing what should I give an F about in work and in life.
Yeah.
Definitely one I recommend, especially if you're feeling a little aimless or lost on finding your direction.
Yeah. 100% agree. Kind of going into, okay, how do you kind of start with the work books? I think there's a couple different, like there's story type books that help you get through situations or help relate to certain situations that can like kind of paint a path of hope for you if you're in a kind of bad situation or at a failing company or whatever. Then there's like just general work process books of like, hey, you can do your work differently and you can look at it at a different perspective, and this is how you can kind of tackle your to-do list. And then there's like just general philosophy or interview type books or management type books. So one I'd like to talk about, this is your favorite. I'm gonna laugh so hard when I raise this up. This
Oh,
is
I
a
can't wait to
prop.
see this
This is
cover.
your boy.
There he is, David Allen.
There he is,
Love him.
crossing
Love
his
him to death.
arms. Do they have a good crossing arms picture? Oh, I have the one without the crossing arms, which I'm really disappointed. He looks
Because
way too good in this photo.
the original was like,
You and I got to go back to back, right? That's David Allen. Every time we talk about getting things done, we go back to back, arms together. But honestly, this book is one I've kind of incorporated in work in life on handling everything that comes in. You know, you think about text messages, you think about emails, you think about physical pieces of mail. Like in work and life, those things happen all the time. You also think about, hey, I woke up this morning, my dryer's not working. Like everything comes in, and you have to have a way to manage all that. And the whole core philosophy of this book, it's one of my favorites, is systems are how you get everything out of your head. You aren't overwhelmed, and they can help you actually get things done. And so I've really kind of incorporated that into my life of anytime something comes in, doesn't even matter what it is, don't leave it in your brain. Your brain can't be trusted. Your brain is distracted left, right, all over. And truthfully, like the last thing you want to do is flood your brain with a million things. And like if you're thinking every 5 seconds, oh shoot, I forgot to do that. Oh yeah, this thing popped up. Like you're failing to have a system that you can trust that can help you get things done. And so this book's really good because while I don't do exactly what it says in the book and I've kind of adapted it to work for me, the core concepts of everything that comes in, I get out of my head, I get into the system, which all mine is digital, and I write it down, I give it a date, I put it on a list, and then I trust that when I come in tomorrow to my office and I look at my to-do list, it's going to have the things that I need to get done on it. But the great thing about that is my brain isn't cluttered with thousands of things anymore. It knows there's a system and I can trust it. So I'm not stressed about those things. I go to sleep just fine, not running through a million things in my head because it's all in the system. And so I highly recommend this book to anybody. So helpful in productivity, help me organize everything when I was at Universal, all the different projects, 30 plus projects I was working on at one time. This one was a game changer for me.
yeah, I followed the getting things done model for a week for the corporate strategy of the podcast. Could have been an email.
Yeah.
Like when we talked about it on that pod, I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot and come back and give you feedback on it. And I will say this: I think it's a great model. I think it falls apart specifically in startup type organizations where your Monday and your Wednesday could be totally different weeks just based on the influx of things. Because when things were calm, it worked great. And I actually did find that it was a great way to start the week, do the prioritization praxis, end the week, do the sort of like the follow up. So you're ready to start the next week. Like that was really good. But as my life has become more chaotic, and as I've started to have like a lot more projects and things in the mix, it doesn't scale to chaos, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when we talked about this, one of my biggest takeaways for your situation, because I was trying to like understand why wouldn't this work for you? The whole idea is that you can put it into a system and things will be relevant a week from now. The reality is in a startup,
It doesn't
things
work.
may not be relevant tomorrow, right? It might be like, hey, this thing doesn't matter. Like, I'm just going to move on to this. So there certainly are cases where it's not the most effective way. But if you are in a bigger organization, you have longer planning cycles, like it's a really, really effective way to put things on your schedule, plan your weeks around it. And people would always ask me, hey, how in the world are you at inbox zero? And how in the world are you, all your team's messages are caught up? Like, how are you doing that? Because I have thousands of emails. And the answer was, because I have time to process my emails. I'm not doing the work of the emails unless I can answer in 2 minutes or less. And then I take the action out of the email so I don't have to read it again and I put it in
Yep.
the system.
Yep.
So then when I go to my to-do list, I'm not processing an email. I'm looking at, okay, this is exactly what I need to do. Done. Now I know I respond to this email with the action. And so I think those like little tips were game changers for me of like I had 2 times every day where I was processing email, putting in my to-do list. And a lot of the times it'd be like, hey, I can respond in under 2 minutes. I can say no, and then I say no to that, and that doesn't go in my to-do list at all. And so I think being able to manage things like that really help in a big corporate setting.
Yeah, I would agree, and I would also say, that little nugget you just shared, even if you never read that book, look into practices like getting to inbox zero and just prioritizing for the week, because these practices really do help even in absolute chaos zones. Just getting some modicum of organization in your work life will make you less stressed and feel better about what you're doing day to day.
100%. Do you have any other books like that?
Yeah, yeah, I have one. Um,
Hit me.
well, I have I'm going to talk about one. So there's a book I love. It's called Starting with Why. It's by Simon Sinek, who
Mm,
you've probably heard of or seen before if you've been in like the marketing space, or if you just are in sort of the more corporate Instagram influencer space. Simon Sinek is very prolific and well known amongst the LinkedIn folks. But I will say this book is actually, I would say, regardless of whether you're in marketing, a great read for anyone who is looking to understand businesses, business practices, and how to be a successful business. Because when you boil it down, the whole idea of starting with why is you're not trying to sell a quarter-inch drill. You're trying to create a place to put an anchor, that you can mount a hook, that you can hang a painting.
mm,
But what you're really trying to do is make the room look more pretty, because you want to hang up a really beautiful painting
I
in
love
your
that.
room. But your company sells drill bits, right? So like when you start with why, you're able to get down to why does my business exist, and what do my customers care about? Like how do I tickle their fancy in their minds and make them think, ooh, I should see myself with this company. And he uses some really good examples in the book of real companies that have gone through either rebrands or changes and kind of have remarketed themselves. He also talks about like the five whys exercise, which is something
Yeah.
I do to this day. Anytime I've had to create any kind of new marketing or messaging, I will go through a process with myself to kind of make sure that I understand what it is that we're looking to launch, what we're looking to market, by asking the question why 5 times. And I'll
I
give you
love
an
that.
example. Why do we do a live show on this podcast? Well, we do a live show because we realized that just doing audio only meant that people only got to hear our words, and maybe if we put faces to voices, that would help encourage folks to engage with us more. Well, why does faces help engage more? Well, it just shows that we're real people. It's also why we used our real names. It lends a little bit more reality, credibility, and authenticity to who we are. Well, why did you need that? Well, as you can see, I've got my Simpson shirt, I've got my office. Michael's got his Michigan shirt, he's got his Michigan office, and all of us, like it shows a personality, and it shows that multiple different types of people can find success, which is exactly what we want our listeners to get to. And as you keep going through like this why activity, you start to uncover like the reason why we are doing this is because we want to connect with you better, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that is ultimately it. And I've never seen this practice fail, which is pretty wild, right? Like most
Right.
things fall apart. Like, David Allen's Getting Things Done. It fell apart for me when things got too chaotic. It works great, but once you get to like midweek prioritization, you don't have time and things are like, it falls apart. I've never seen the five whys activity fail. So I think starting with why is a great one to just kind of shift the way your mind thinks about things and help you understand why businesses do the things they do. And maybe it also helps you realize why your business is not doing things the right way.
Yeah. I love that. Earlier in my career, I wish I did that more because you're so overwhelmed drinking from a fire hose. Like you don't really know what your focus should be on or like why you're doing things. You don't think to question it, but it's so simple. It's like, it seems like dumb questions, but especially in product management, I talk about this a lot in the last episode, you have to understand why. If you are building products for customers or for internal users, whatever it is, you need to understand why you're doing it because if you don't get that, you're going to build the wrong thing. You're not going to be effective in whatever solution you're building. So I love that. That's a really good one. We also had two in the chat
Which
that
isn't
came
working
up.
great. We
Yeah, we have some
recognize
tech
that.
difficulties.
Yeah.
Strange. Dana the Sane was able to say one that I've read, one that I haven't. I'm curious if you have. One is the Mythical Man Month, so some good like software project
Mm-hmm.
management books where you can't put 9 women in a room and make a baby in a month is kind of the core premise of that, which is true for software engineering too. Like just adding bodies doesn't mean you're going to build something faster. Now with AI, like maybe that changes. I don't know.
Nah,
That'd be an interesting
nah.
debate.
Disagree. Hard disagree. Man
Yeah,
month is still
yeah, it'd be
mythical.
interesting to see. Yeah, so I love that one. The other one I haven't read is Peopleware. I've heard it, I think, but I've never read that one. What about you?
I've actually not read either of these, but I do know the Mythical
Really?
Man month via other people telling me what it is, and just
Yeah.
it is such. I think of all the books we've talked about, probably even more than Seven Habits, I have heard of the Mythical Man month more in my career of working in corporate than anything else. Like that gets brought up all the time in sprint planning. It gets
Mm.
got brought up in marketing launch planning. Like the mythical man month is a concept that has evolved well past its actual book, and it's just become like the
Yeah,
Pareto principle, something we just talk about as it is a fact, which it is.
right. 100%. Yeah, a few people can't access the chat that they've been saying. So don't know why. They're making comments. It's just not going through. And it might be because it's like not going to live chat. I don't know.
I don't
Strange.
know. It's really weird. I'm looking. Oh, Dana
Oh,
is
individual
saying is
contributor.
individual
Yes.
contributor. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
For a second
Yeah.
there, I was like, this name sounds familiar. I feel like we know who this is.
We know who this is. I don't know what's going on with the chat because I've messed with it all kinds of different ways. We'll get it figured out for the next
Yeah.
one though. And we apologize for any confuzzlement that's occurring right now.
I'll say in the Discord if they send them here. So we have two more from Ica
Yes,
and maybe Elmer Fudd too. So Ica shouted out one, which I don't know that I've heard this before, but it's a book on advertising. Rory Sutherland, a book on advertising, just any books on advertising in general, it sounds like.
that
So I don't
sounds.
know about those,
I would love to read
but they
those
might be in your
actually.
realm.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, one of them I already like. I'm looking at some of the titles. The Surprising Power of Ideas That Don't Make Sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I
good.
love that. That's a good
I
one.
want to add that to my reading lineup.
That's really
Were there
cool.
any others that we
Okay.
missed?
I think those were all of them. I'm looking if Elmer Fedorino had one for us too. No, I think those were the main ones. So
Okay.
um, I can go to the next one. So, and it's weird. I went to live chat and now my messages are gone. So I have no idea what's happening.
I
We'll
typed
get this
things that are
figured
gone. So it's as the corporate strategy.biz account on YouTube, we're losing things that we're writing. We'll get it fixed.
That's always good. All right, let's go to another one here. I kind of want to go to maybe like books for certain situations that you're going through.
Hmm.
This one I think is so relevant to anybody who kind of went from the waterfall to agile transition in software product management. And now I think this concept has proliferated into every aspect of businesses. Like, it started with the assembly line, then it went into so many other things, and then software project management, and then it went into marketing. Like this, I hear this everywhere now is agile, right? And I think this is something that we went through, really deeply at a software company where we were transitioning from this big waterfall release company to this agile, small release companies. And it was painful, it was fun, it was exciting, like, and it changed the way that companies operate and how we build consumer projects or products. So this one, the lean startup, is
The
really,
lean
really good.
startup.
It's a class. This is a table stakes. Like you have to have read this. The concepts in this, I think, are timeless. And I won't give it all away, but you should read this if your team is struggling with, are we building the right thing? How do we test and learn? How do we actually know like this is the market we should be going after? The whole concept is build, test, learn. Small iterations, test it out, measure it, take those learnings back and iterate. And so the whole concept of waterfall to agile, as we're talking about in software project management, used to be literally like a waterfall. It's like yearly or multi-year planning. So 3 years from now, we're building release 7.2.1 of our project. And then you would basically plan that down to say, okay, we're going to take 6 months to write requirements. So we're going to talk to customers for 6 months. We're going to write down requirements. We're going to put it all in spec sheets. We're going to build something that's really fancy. Then after that, we're going to go through a design process where we're going to design everything that we just wrote down for 6 months. That'll be for 3 months. And then we're going to spend 9 months actually building the thing, or 18 months building the thing. And when you think about, an ever-changing landscape like the internet, software, AI, like the reality is by the time you get through that 3 year planning cycle, the goalposts have completely changed and you're building the wrong thing. You didn't get something to market for your customers. You didn't learn anything, and likely customers are overtaking you. And so the concept of use small cycles, like break things down into small, small chunks, test your hypotheses, say, hey, we're going out to learn if we are going to get engagement on our types of social posts, like if you're in marketing. And then you're like, okay, well, let's try something. For the next 2 weeks, let's start posting on Instagram or doing shorts. And let's see, do we get the engagement we were hoping for? And then let's move on from that and iterate from what we learn. And if it's not working, let's pivot to something else. And so this one I love for all those concepts because I think it just works in everything that you do to build, test, learn, break it down to small increments, and work in a way that you can iterate and move quickly.
I've not read the book, but it is one of those things that when Michael and I went through the agile training, I took it very seriously. I took notes. I never take notes. I paid attention. It was a week long, and when I came out of it, I was a believer, and I can't follow it to the T, but I still very much believe in Kanban. I believe in Scrum. I believe in sticky notes and tickets or Jira cards and sprint planning. All of it. It's so good. I don't think it breaks ever. It does. The only challenge with it really is it requires buy-in, and you can't be the only believer, which I think has been a problem I've had with it since the start. You kind of have to enforce it from the top down, and everyone has to buy into it. Otherwise, it does fail. But I will say, even in life, you can take the agile framework and apply it to your personal life, and I guarantee you, it will make for more productive weekends, better task management, and the ability to kind of like plan, prioritize, and manage things in your own personal life. So, highly
Right.
recommend.
100%. The one thing I'd say that companies really struggle with this is a lot of companies, and I've been at many, still
No.
focus on output over outcome because
Yeah.
measuring something that's not black and white is hard. So, for example, like if I say, okay, Anthony, I need you to ship this marketing campaign by next week. Like you can do that. That's black or white. It's really easy to say you did the thing or you didn't do the thing, right? Now, if I say, okay, Anthony, what's your hypothesis for how much engagement you'll get of a lift, from last marketing strategy to this marketing strategy, and you say, I think this tactic is going to raise it by 15%. Okay, then you get to measure it and you're like, well, we got to 12%. Does that mean we're successful? Does that mean it's not successful? Do we pivot? Do we persevere? Do we keep going down this path? And I think companies really struggle with that at larger organizations because it's hard to get to that level of value measurement at the granular level with a
Right.
huge organization. And I think that's where it really falls apart for a lot of organizations.
I think it pairs very well with a book I did read called Lean Startup, right? With the idea of
Mm-hmm.
the MVP, the minimum viable product, and being able to break things into basically customer deliverable chunks and understanding like you can't sell the entire scope of everything. Instead, what is that MVP I want to deliver? How do I do this leanly, right? Like, how do I operate like a lean startup model? You can apply this to
Right.
enterprise deliveries. And I think agile plus lean is a winning functionality. But again, it requires buy in and adoption from more than just you and your team, even, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that one's really good. Do you have any others on top of that?
I
Or do you
sure
want me to
do.
hop into? I got a
I
couple
sure
more.
do.
Hit me.
And I'm going to recommend a book that's not a workbook. It's not a self help or life advice
Ooh.
book. It's a book that I just really enjoy. And one thing it's worth knowing about me is the things that have always worked on me when it comes to marketing, advertising, just if you want to convince Anthony to buy your product, the best thing you can do is subvert my expectations, right? Like getting me to pay attention is hard. And I love having my expectations subverted. I love being surprised. I love finding myself in a situation where you know more than I do. That intrigues me and it carries me along for the journey. And one of my favorite books is actually a book I just read for the first time last year, but now it is probably one of my favorite books of all time. It's called House of Leaves. Uh,
Hmm.
Michael, could you go Google image search? Just type in House of Leaves pages
I'll check
and
it
take a
out.
look at that. This is a it is a
Oh,
so this book is it's a thick, juicy book. It's I would call it horror adjacent, but it is a book that tells a non-linear narrative over hundreds of pages that requires the reader to interact with a book in the way that they should not interact with a book. Stories are
this is
told in the
weird.
footnotes. You have to go to the end of the book multiple times to read things that are hidden in the appendix, to then understand things that are happening in the house. And it is an experience you will only have once in your life. But this book is the definition of subverting expectations. And for me, when I create things, I want to create House of Leaves, right? Like that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that my readers, the people who interact with my material, are having that same kind of experience where like I didn't know this was going to go there. Wow, you took me for a ride. Highly, highly recommend. There is some, I would just say, intense and extreme subject matter in there. It is a little scary, but I wouldn't, put it in the same level as like Stephen King or anything like that. But
Hmm.
I mean, like, so Michael's react. What did you see when you looked at the pages of House
This
of
is so weird. I opened it up, or I just went to Google Images and I was just looking at a couple of the images, and it's like it's the weirdest format of like traditional book that you've ever seen. Like there's just large squares of just nothing, and you have to kind of like read around, and then there's like black squares, and all the text is like upside down, and you're like, what in the world? And then there's like shapes in red text. Like it truly kind of looks like a puzzle.
It
I
is
wouldn't
a
even know where
puzzle.
to begin.
You start at the beginning and you let the book take you where you need to go. And I mean, one of the really neat things about this book is there's no right or wrong way to read it. You could read it sequentially. You could take advice of the footnotes, and there are thousands of footnotes in this book. Some of them are real,
So
some of them are
weird.
fake. It's a magical experience, and I just love it because it really changed my mind on what a book could be. And I think that we should try and achieve that whenever we can with anything we do, is push the norms. Don't just give them a linear left to right, top to bottom. Make them work for it. Make them read the book upside down.
That's hilarious.
House
Think
of
outside
Leaves.
the box.
Highly
I
recommend.
think I think in a age of AI slop, the things like this are going to stand out
Yes.
more than anything else
AI could not
because
make
it's
this
going to
book if it
draw your
wanted to.
attention,
Yeah.
right? Like it reminds me of that your favorite, your superb owl, the Super Bowl ad
Yeah.
just a few years ago. So everyone knows Super Bowl ads. They always are like got to be this super impactful thing. They got to be really funny. They got to have all the celebrities. One crypto company just showed a QR code on the screen for like 20 seconds. No sound at all. It just was a colored screen with a QR code on it. And what did everyone do? It literally took down their site. Everybody was scanning the QR because they're like, is the TV frozen? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, those are the things that will grab the attention because they're so outside of the norm.
Subvert expectations. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think anytime you're able to actually subvert expectations from a customer perspective, wow, I did not expect your product to do this, or the way your marketing got me. You got me. I like, I tell a story about how I bought my mattress, but like I literally got a YouTube ad for Purple Mattress, which was like them dropping an egg on a bed, and it got me
Right.
to watch an entire 10-minute video. So an ad to a video to buying a mattress, and now I will only sleep on Purple mattresses. So like there is something about, if you are able, especially for those of you who are in marketing advertising, subverting expectations is the best thing you can do to get your audience hooked in. But I will say also, this hooks right back into starting with why, right? Like if you don't know why your product exists and why you're building what you're building, you'll never be able to get to a point where you're hooking in people to get them interested in what you're looking to deliver. So, I think it's fair to bring in a little bit of horror fiction literature into this.
That's just fun. I like it. It kind of like I probably would never read something like this, but this one makes me want to read it because it just sounds like a puzzle.
I mean, it is a puzzle. It's very fun. It's a very fun read. You don't have to finish it.
Love it.
That's part of the experience. Is you don't have to finish it.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can
it's so
close it at
great. I
any
might
time,
give it a try.
and
I
that's
might have to borrow this from you. Oh, well, in the chat, we had a couple thoughts from Elmer Futterino. One is just around going back to the lean startup. The fundamental problem with Agile or Scrum is that it almost becomes dogmatic, which is arguably antithetical to agility. It works well for greenfield or startups in tech, but legacy software estates with mission critical delivery, it's a mess. And I agree with this. To be honest with you, I think a lot of companies go wrong because they think they have to do agile, when the answer is you don't have to. Like square peg, round hole. If you are building mission critical systems, if you're building something that's tried and true and it can't have, zero trust, whatever your, security vulnerability protection is, like those things that are so critical that could affect people's lives, medical equipment or whatever it is, there are certain things where you shouldn't put out things and take risk and they have to be airtight. And I 100% agree with that. It's like some corporations just need to realize it's okay that we're not that. But I
hmm
also think that the core principles of breaking things down into smaller pieces and iterating on that, even if it's internally, but still having a rigorous testing cycle and whatever, like those things still hold true and I think will help you guys work faster and better together.
yeah. And I'm going to use you as an example because I think what you and your team did back at Big Corp was the perfect testament to merging agile with waterfall, right? Like you were building the modern user experience. You were helping, and not just you, but like other folks were helping wrap old code up in APIs while people were still working on that old code in a very waterfall fashion. So I think you can hybridize it. So like new projects and new architectural slices, you could start agile and make that work while still running the old ways basically and get that working. But I wouldn't give up on it just because you are in a big enterprise or legacy. But I also wouldn't don't try to fit the square peg in the round hole. Start with a new hole, right? Like
Yeah,
build a new hole and then you'll get it in.
I love that. That's great. Um, since we're almost at an hour, I guess we should flash through these last ones. I can't believe time just flies on these live streams are
Dude, how many
dangerous.
books do you
We're-
read?
I've read a lot. And it's funny because I usually loan them out. Like I read them and then I loan them out, and I don't even remember all of them.
You made me buy all the books I had to read. I had to go
I
buy
did.
those books.
I could
You
have
could have
probably.
loaned
Well,
them.
it's probably because I've already loaned them out to someone else.
How dare you? What do you think I'm made of
All
money?
right. This one, it's a good fiction book about software project management. It's a hero story where there's a failing car manufacturing company, which is kind of exactly what we were just talking about of they were waterfall, they didn't know how to move into the digital world, everything was falling around them, the systems were failing, and all the technology was just going down the toilet. And it's kind of a success story of like how they shifted their way of working, started implementing a getting things done style tracker, and started getting things back on track from like a software and new age perspective for their customers. And then, kind of turned their company around. And it's really good. It's called The Phoenix Project. And it's a fiction book, but it's based off kind of true stories of companies who weren't able to make that transition. And it's just a fun read. Like this was one that it's so relatable if you've been working in software or just tech, in the last 20 years. And it had me hooked. I was like, I'm hooked on these characters. I read the whole thing from start to finish. And there's a sequel which talks about the Unicorn Project, which is how they kind of it's back on the shelf. The Unicorn Project, which is kind of like the next step for them of like, okay, now they're caught up to the market. Now how do they, jump into the next stage of what their customers want and leapfrog the competition. So it's a great series. It's a really easy read. Would highly recommend it. It's fun.
If they made a third book, so we had Phoenix, we had Unicorn. So I guess the third book would be Dragon, right?
Yeah, I mean, you rise from the ashes
You
and
grow a
then you
horn out of your
become
head,
a mythical creature because you're something totally different.
and then you hoard your gold. So you're
And
Dragon.
then you hoard your gold, you build your moat and hoard your
You
gold,
hold your
and you
guard
bury
in a
yourself
yeah.
in a mountain until a hobbit comes and tries to steal something from you.
But that's the billionaire experience. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Got it. Understood. I'm excited. I'll read.
All
I'm going to
right.
skip to the third one. I think that's where I'm landing
Yeah,
on this. Yeah.
100%. That would be a
Yeah.
great time. You want me to go through my last two?
Holy cow! You have two more.
I have two more, but I'm gonna go quick. I'm gonna go
Okay.
quick. Product managers. This is a great one. Cracking the PM interview. This is how PM interviews used to be, and it's like the way Google and Facebook and whatever go through it. To be honest, it's kind of some bogus stuff. Like how many golf balls can fit in a 747? Like those are legit things like Google used to ask candidates. And the way I put it to people when I tell them to read this, I'm like, don't get stuck on those exercises. It's not about having the right answer. It's about showing and communicating the way you think. And I do like questions not as ridiculous as that, but I like questions that force the candidate to kind of like think about and talk about how they're thinking about things because it helps you really relate to them and being like, would they be a good fit for this team? Can they think critically? And I can't tell you the amount of like interviews that I did with product managers where we'd say, okay, here's a problem that we're running into. And they just start throwing out 50 solutions of like, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this without ever asking, well, why are we doing that?
Starting with
Like, tell
why.
me a little bit more. Exactly, start with why. And like, it's so basic, but the best candidates I had were the ones that had a lot of questions up front. Then they went into, okay, understanding that. Now let me go into who are we actually doing this for? Who's our
Hmm.
customer? Let me understand them a little bit more. Let me understand their needs versus their wants. Let me then go into coming up with solutions and let me prioritize those. And then let's think about like edge cases that could break what we just decided to do. And so it's a really good book because it kind of talks through how to think through those things. And I would take away some interviews still do this and they're ridiculous. Abstract from that and just think about the way they think through problems. I think that's the value you can take from this. That's really helped in even projects, really big projects that I've worked on.
I love that.
All right, last one. The next level, it is what insiders know about executive success.
Oh my gosh.
This is a this is a 90% fluff book. 90% fluff,
And you're
but there is
recommending it
some
on our
really
podcast.
like
Who's
but
the
the
author so we can shame
10%.
them?
Yeah, we can shame them. I won't read it out loud. You can look it up. It's Scott Eblin. I'm going to
Okay.
out him right now. I changed my mind. The reason I say it's 90% fluff is because you could get, like, when you read through it, you find a nugget and you're like, oh, that was really good. And then you have to, like, read another couple pages and be like, ah, none of that really mattered. Okay, that was good. But the main takeaway I'd say for this book is it's a good management book of figuring out how to get out of execution of work and how to derive your own value of getting work done by yourself to realizing your value comes from your team being successful and what they do, not no longer what you do. And I think it's a really good book that even Danny Yonkers, who came on our podcast and talked about
Hmm.
his book, which we should give a good shout out
Oh
to.
yeah.
Yeah, we should give a good shout out to him and his book in a second here. But this book is great because I think it kind of tells you, hey, as you grow your team, as you become an executive, you can't continue doing the things that got you there. Success isn't what it was before. It's not no longer about how much you can do, saying yes to everything, always doing it on your own and putting the team on your back. Now it's about can you build and empower people to do the work and bring the value and see that by them doing well, you're doing well. It's no longer just about what you can do well. If your team fails, you fail. And I love the concepts and things that I brought up because it really kind of helped me as I was going through that managerial transition because I was so used to and depending on I bring value by what I do, not and then I kind of felt bad because my team would get started. I would feel like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not helping with this project, but the idea is that you helped your team be successful in this project and hopefully they'll become even better than you and that shows that you're a great leader.
I love it. And I do want to shout out Danny Yonkers, previous guest on the show. One of our audio only episodes in the past. Go back and listen to it if you haven't. His book is called "And Then I Pooped My Pants," and it is all about exactly what Michael's talking about, sort of learning to be a manager and all of the sort of different phases you're going to have to go through and leaving that individual contributor role and becoming that manager. Really great episode when he came on and sort of talked us through some of the themes of that book. So go back and listen to it if you haven't. It's a great one.
100% agree. That was my list. You got any closers? Was that the closer?
I
That's a
mean,
great one.
I think that's got to be the closer. It's got to be. Someone we
I think it
know.
has.
It's
I
an
mean,
author we
yes.
know personally. Uh, yeah,
Such a good name for a book too. Like that
it
is
is.
so good and so
Subverting
fitting for this
expectations,
podcast.
right?
Exactly.
You would never ever expect a book on helping you become a better manager to be called "And Then I Pooped My Pants." So
Yeah.
again, you got to get that hook. get that hook, pull them in.
Get them
Um,
hooked.
well, good topic, Michael. Thanks for bringing the books. Thanks for
Yeah,
bringing the books.
yeah.
I
You
love
can thank my wife. Shout out to my wife. Her
shout
idea.
outs
I thought it was great.
shout outs to Michael's wife. Um, you know what? Also, shout outs to our patrons. We have a Patreon now, and that is the best way to support the show if you'd like to. You can go to our Patreon, which is linked in the YouTube video. It's linked in our show notes if you're listening in audio only mode. And if you are in audio only mode, join our live streams. We're not really good at scheduling them, so it's gonna be hard for you to join them. But it like getting hit by lightning, it's a worthwhile experience. So you should join our Discord for the time being, and we are looking into alternative solutions. Not Discord, given the risk to all of our personal information in Discord. Don't worry, I actually have 3 different solutions I'm going to be posting in the channel this week that we can kind of figure out, decide which direction we want to go, because this is not a dictatorship. This is a democracy, and we're going to decide as a community where we'd like to migrate to. So join the
Love it.
Discord, join the conversation, support the show. And if you can't do any of those things, share the YouTube channel, share the audio podcast, and leave us a nice review if you can. We would be so grateful if you could do any of these 3 things. It means a lot for us. Anything else they could be doing for us, Michael?
No, I think we could put like our books, we'll put them in the corporate strategy channel for now until we migrate, just so everybody has a list. And also, we have the Is It AI challenge, which probably will get one more life before we switch to our new platform. So
Yes.
we'll post that in there for February.
I am excited to diagnose yet another AI. Let's get it. Well, I think we've done it yet again. We've managed to spend a lot of your time talking about us. So thank you as always for joining us on Corporate Strategy, the podcast that could have been an email. As always, and as it has always been, it's never been anything else. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Michael, never been
And
anything else.
Antonio to my closest friends. Michaelonio to his closest friends.
Sound like SpaghettiOs.
Who says we're not? But I do know this. You are on mute. We will see you